I'm Liza Gresse. I'm the CEO of Ubuhle. I will present the webinar today. So thank you very much for joining us. I don't want to waste your time. I know that we are all very busy, especially in these times where we are really pressured to get our WSPs and ATRs completed and submitted to the various CETAs that we all belong to. Let's just look at the agenda, what I will be discussing today. So the first thing is I am going to start at the basics. So for those of us that are very well informed on what a WSP and an ATR is, please bear with me. But I think it's also important maybe for some of our delegates in this webinar to really just understand again, why do we have to do these cumbersome administration and all the work around something like this. And then I'm going to look at the benefits of submitting your WSP and ATR. Why is it so important? And then we are going to go into how do you actually develop your WSP? And I've got 3 easy steps. And then we'll look at the annual training report and then where to start. Where do you start and how does it support everything else? So I thought as an introduction into who Ubuhle People Solutions are, we are a group of companies focusing on people in organizations. We work across South Africa. I myself consult also in the people industry to the UAE, to Europe, and also to Kuwait. So please enjoy our little company video. It will be 1 minute.
In today's changing business landscape, we know that people's performance drives a company's success. That's why our goal at Ubuhle is to help you harness your people's full potential. Our tailored training for your employees not only future-proofs your succession planning, it sharpens skills so that your workforce is more efficient and effective. The result? Productivity soars, providing the fuel to drive your company's growth. We make this happen with our rich portfolio of CETA accredited learnerships, now with the added boost of QCTO occupational certificates. In fact, Ubuhle was a pioneer in the QCTO space, one of the initial training companies to receive accreditation. We were handpicked by a leading retailer to run one of the very first QCTO training programs in South Africa. Ubuhle is no stranger to innovation as a pioneer to champion e-learning for skills development. And today, by using our ever-evolving platform, more and more of our clients are enjoying the convenience and cost savings they deserve. Whether you choose traditional classroom learning at your own business or the flexibility of e-learning, or even a blend of both, we ensure you have all the programs and technology you need. We understand that developing your people while maximizing your points for B-BBEE is essential. That's why our fully hosted learnerships equip your unemployed learners with the skills to break barriers and build careers that transform their lives. It would be impossible to develop your people without our team, so we invest in our own people too. That's because we know that our strength and our excellence lies in their continued growth, creativity, and passion. For all of us, grow people, grow profit isn't just a slogan. It's our unwavering promise to drive your company's growth by empowering your people with the skills they need to thrive. Ubuhle, where growth begins with people.
So ladies and gents, if I can maybe start off just to remind you again why we are actually doing the WSP and the ATR. It's all linked to the Skills Development Act. And this is very much to upskill the nation and also to create opportunity for unemployed youth, which to give them the opportunity to access learning, but also to access workplace experience through business and organizations. So, and this is not only for unemployed youth, but also for the workforce, employed, the economic active workforce in South Africa. There's many incentives that the government provides to organizations who decide to participate in the skills development process and projects. And we've just heard the budget speech where the Minister of Finance has actually announced that we will have 3 years more of tax incentives for companies. So the sunset deadline is extended with 3 years, and now the deadline is for March 2027. So it's time to really, for organizations to also cash in on those incentives. So how does the whole skills development, where does all the money go? The 1% skills levy that employer pays over goes straight into SARS's pockets, where they then distribute to higher education. From higher education, 20% of all the skills levies goes to the National Skills Fund, and then also back 2% to SARS for their admin fee, and so all government departments make their little cut off our skills levies. But the SETAs, and now also you'll see that the SETAs will get 80% of the levies that the higher education then pushes to their side to utilize for sector-specific projects. Now, about 0.5% goes to the QCTO, and the SETA will then, from the 80%, they will then use 10% for an admin fee for themselves to cover all their expenses, operational expenses, and so forth. The remainder of the 80% will go towards mandatory grants and also discretionary grants and pivotal grants. So how do you then access mandatory grants? The only way to access mandatory grants, to get your mandatory grants back, is to actually submit your WSP and ATR. And also, if you want to participate in the pivotal priorities that the SETAs put out, you need to show proof that you've submitted these documents. You can also only apply for discretionary extra funding for projects within your organization if you have completed your WSP and your ATR, the Workplace Skills Plan, and your annual training report. So how can you then utilize your SETA funding to support your skills development strategy and your implementation thereof? When we talk about this, let's have a look at the Workplace Skills Plan and the ATR. What are these documents? And it's incredibly important. I often come to organizations, not the big mature organizations, maybe the smaller medium-sized organizations who wants to access funding from the SETAs or the QCTO, and then they have not submitted their WSP and ATR. It is extremely important that that the organization is registered with the relevant SETA, and also that these documents have been completed, signed off, and submitted timeously. And the benefit of that is that you will be able to access your mandatory and your discretionary grants. You will be able to participate in projects which will incur your incentives, your tax rebates, and also support your BBBEE score. So, and then if you are very serious about your skills development in your company, I also advise organizations to integrate this into your succession planning, because you can utilize all of this to create a pipeline of leaders or employees that is upskilled, that can benefit the business results in the end. So let's talk about what is a workplace skills plan and an annual training report. So a workplace skills plan is a document where you have to record the skills that the organization is planning to bring into the organization and to actually train their people on. So it's your planning document. This document needs to be completed either by a registered skills development facilitator or an appointed HR manager or administrator in your organization. An annual training report is a document that will where you record all the trainings that you've done in the past financial year, and it's got to be, the training needs to be supported by all the documents like your registers, invoices that you've paid to your training provider, internal invoices for certain programs that you spend internally for in-house training, and so forth. So the annual training report records training done in the past, and the workplace skills plan records training that is planned for the next financial year. So why is it so important? Just a few things. If you've got a well thought out workplace skills plan, you have a document that plans and is a organized way of planning your training for the next year. And it also affords you the opportunity to look at your budget, your allocated budget in your organization for skills development, and how you can actually support that budget by bringing in extra training through your funding that you will access. This is, in other words, to manage your development cost, and then also to not only be reactive to, okay, we need this training, or yes, we've got to implement training, yeah, or maybe the supervisors needs upskilling, but it's a well thought out way that it's a planning document that you can then, that gives direction and focus of where you are going to utilize the funds and upskill your people. So ladies and gents, where do you start with your workplace skills plan and your annual trainings report submissions? I think the first thing is that you've got to make sure that you've collated all your information. So the first thing that you have to look at, you've got to have an updated employee profile. This is a list of every single employee that works in your organization, and according to the occupational level, the gender, the race, and other demographic information that you have. This you will need to populate your WSP. You also, what we found is that you also have to report on all the training that's been completed, as I've mentioned, in 2023, and you've got to have supporting documents that prove that this training has been done. And this could either be your invoices, it could be copies of certificates and attendance registers. What we have found that sometimes we have a comeback on WSPs and ATRs of some of our clients that we complete on their behalf because they have not provided us with the agendas, the meeting agendas and minutes of their training committee. This is something very important that the CETA wants to see. Let's also remember that if you fail to submit certain documents or information, the CETA will send your WSP back after reviewing it, and then you have to submit those documents. If you fail to submit that, you will lose out on the funding opportunities and they will reject your WSP and your ATR. So 3 easy steps to develop a WSP. The first step that I want to share with you is to really sit down and have input from your managers in different departments on certain skills that they need for their employees to actually upskill and make them more productive and to drive the business and team goals. So this is very important to identify the gaps in skills. And we always advise when we consult with our clients that a skills audit is a very simple tool that you can do with online surveys that managers can complete. You can align this with your job profiles. Usually in a job profile, there is the certain skills and experience that you would need for certain jobs. And what I also recommend here, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. What I've noticed working in 2023, consulting in Dubai, for instance, with certain government institutions and also organizations, is that they are already planning for future jobs. They've identified the skills aligned and linked to those future jobs. So your future thinking needs to be part of this when you identify the skills gaps. So something to think about for learning and development managers, and also to show that you are serious about giving back to the business. Put your hand up around the table and serve this business by being proactive around future jobs and future skills as well. The second step, I'm not going to go into depth around the benefits of a skills audit. I think I've said everything. But the second step in developing your WSP would be to identify how you are going to develop these identified skills for each department or for the business in general, or maybe for a group of supervisors, and how you're going to go about it. Once you've identified the skills that you need to address in your organization, you then go and look at the interventions that you can align to these skills that is needed. And this is where we look at learnership qualifications. Which learnership qualifications can we align to a certain skills gap within a department or within a leadership level within the organization? Because a learnership is an accredited program, and it's also now, we talk about the legacy qualifications. We still have a period of time to register learners on this. So learnerships is accredited, and it affords the employee access to a qualification. It is a 12-month program, right? And also a learnership brings this tax incentives to your organization, but it also supports your BBBEE points on skills development. You can also look at mentorship programs that you can implement, which is in-house programs and could be part of your leadership development KPIs. There's the in-house training where you look at sales training that is customized to your or systems training, and then also maybe online training, short courses or soft skills that is needed in the program, in the organization. If you look at learnerships, there's definitely also the QCTO qualifications. As mentioned, Ubuhle is a absolute first training provider that has rolled out a full qualification with a big organization, retail organization in South Africa. We started it, we registered the delegates in 2023, and we will be completing it in 2024. So it's the first, and we are collating as much information in our experience of the challenges, but also the wins, rolling out a QCTO program that we gladly share with the sector, other training providers, organizations, the CETA. We give feedback on our experience in that as well. So once you've identified the gaps, identify the interventions. And once you've done that, other aspects to consider. What will be the cost and how does that plug into your training budget? What level of training do you actually need? And do you need a variety of that? What is the organizational's budget? I've said that. And how many employees are you going to train? So you've also got to integrate this planning across. If it's a big organization, you might have a BBBEE department that deals with the BBBEE. Consult with them so that there's an integration between what you are planning and how that can support the BBBEE scorecard for the organization. And then decide what will be the mode of training? Will it be an online? Will it be face-to-face? And where will it take place? Will it be across South Africa, rolling it out into different areas where your organization is dealing or is doing business, or is it in a certain sector? So this is all part of your planning when you do your WSP. It sounds like a lot, but the template guides you in everything. This is very much your strategic planning before you just fill in your WSP. Also, plan around people with disabilities. Can you reasonably accommodate people in your organization, or do you need to accommodate them off-site? This is all part, and then align that with your planning for the pivotal funding and also discretionary funding that you want to apply to. I've thought I'd like to share this little matrix that we've developed, and I will gladly share it with you afterwards again. What we said was, when you plan your WSP and your skills development for your organization for the next financial year, keep in mind that your skills development, I hate the fact that people train just for the sake of training. It's got to serve a purpose, and it's got to contribute to the organization per se and the individuals in the organization. So what we've developed is, we've looked at the different levels in an organization. The very entry level of an organization would be new entrants, it would be your interns, it would be your new young employees coming in, it would be unemployed people that you will bring in. The next level will be maybe new entrants, where you've got new applications, or people have applied for positions, they've just joined the company and they are getting used to the culture and the way of doing in your organization. Then we look at the junior to the mid-level in a company, and I'll go through that again. And lastly, your execs and your senior management. So in the new entrants, and this would be for your unemployed people, what kind of trainings would you plan around, or would you think to implement that would support these individuals, but also support the business? And what I've said here is, we suggest that you look at learnerships, accredited programs, which will give you the tax rebates, which will give the individual workplace experience, and also give them the qualification in the end. You can also, part spend can go for bursaries for students in tertiary institutions. So when we talk about this, this is where you plan in your, or apply in your WSP for your CETA, pivotal, and your discretionary funding. You can also do part of your budget for self-funded learnerships for your BBBEE spend, but utilize the funding of the CETA to support you on this level. Then for the next level, internships and apprenticeships is also accredited programs according to the BBBEE matrix. And this is where you can also apply for your CETA funding. There's so many. I know that the CETA, especially the WNR CETA, have opened up bursary funding for students now. They've opened up internships and apprenticeship funding. So please apply for this, because all of these programs count towards the category B, C, and D category and E category on the skills matrix. Then for your employed junior to mid-level, what we said here again, for your employed people, you can still sponsor bursaries for maybe could be part of your succession planning for management programs at a tertiary educational institute, or you could even apply for a generic management learnership or skills programs that you can bring in. And again, this is the funding that you can access through your workplace skills plan that you are completing. Then on the unaccredited training, remember that short courses, because part of the future thinking and future jobs, there are certain soft skills that is very highly recommended for going into the future place of work. And this you access through your short courses. So plan for that. It's not only the accredited program that the CETA will sponsor. There sometimes opens up a window for non-credit bearing short courses or credit bearing short courses. So you can also apply for that. But also remember that soft skills you can claim points for soft skills or in-house training. This could be your seminars, your conferences, or on-the-job trainings. There's a certain percentage that you can claim, and we'll go into that a bit later. And then the same applies for your execs and your senior management, who has got more specific trainings that they might need on the technical side, or coaching and mentoring support that could be part of your spend for non-credit bearing programs. So ladies and gents, and also don't forget that I wanted to just show that the unaccredited programs, the soft skills, that is according to the skills matrix put out for BBBEE, that falls under category F and category G. And then lastly, don't forget about your YES, your youth development service, that you can also access funding when you bring unemployed people in. So this is just a little model, a matrix that we've put together where you take the career path and the different levels and how you can plan this. And it maps it out. It's kind of a visual map for you to go and plan and then populate your WSP. And I'm sure that this can really assist you also in completing your WSP. And then obviously the benefit of this is that you will have upskilled people. You will have the tax incentives. You are now bringing money into the business and not only being a cost to company, but you're also bringing return on investment. And this is a lot of times, this is what the execs wants to see. This is what the management want to see, is that training is not only a cost, there's a money or a monetary benefit to the business as well. And then you also speak to upskilling people and future readying your organization. So I always, when I talk about this, I invite HR professionals and HR managers and L&D managers to take your seat around the management table. So put up your hand, show them that HR is not only the cost. No, HR benefits the business through our planning and how we actually upskill and bring back into the business. So when we talk about the annual training report, it goes hand in hand with your WSP. You've got to submit them together, and the deadline is, as we all know, the 30th of April. So don't miss the deadline, and don't count on it that CETAs would extend the deadline. They sometimes don't. And how we manage our completion of WSPs and ATRs on behalf of our clients is that we completed quite a long time before the deadline to ensure that if there's any glitches or anything wrong with the system, that we have enough time to submit without the stress. So the ATR goes hand in hand with the WSP, and it shows your progress on what you've trained on in the past and on your last WSP submitted. So the ATR, what it records is the all education, training and development activities. And this should all form part of your ATR. So it's quite important. A lot of times, if you've not submitted your ATR, then they will not give you access to funding, and they would want you to first submit, go through a cycle and submit an ATR before you can access money. So please, it's very important. Report back on the activities in the previous year on training and development. And then what should be included in your ATR, just again, the number of educational training and development activities that you've conducted, your attendance registers, your proof of expenditure. They want to see the invoices. They want to see that which training provider that you use, and also the number of employees that you've trained and the occupational levels in the organization that was covered. And then they need your training committee meeting administration, which is the agendas and the minutes. So your skills development and your BBBEE strategy goes hand in hand. So just to remind you again, the 5 pillars of the BBBEE are ownership, management control, skills development, enterprise development, and socio-economic development. So I usually advise my clients to, why do I give them this information? Because you can utilize your CETA funding in that you apply for in your WSP, and also discretionary funding, to actually speak to certain socio-economic development activities. I'm thinking of new venture creation, and even enterprise development. New venture creation is there's also a QCTO program, new venture creation, but legacy learnership, new venture creation. You can implement that into your enterprise development, where you bring on board entrepreneurs. We've implemented for Tongaat Hewlett. They've got sugar suppliers, farmers that supply to their mills, and we implemented a new venture creation which counted towards the enterprise development. So, and they applied for that funding, and they utilized it on this, and they could actually gain points on enterprise development. Socioeconomic development, you can utilize to upskill unemployed youth in a community in order for them to give back to the community. So there's so many ways that we can utilize the skills development to benefit our communities. But the skills development level, or should I say matrix, is most probably the most important thing where you support your business, because there's 25 points that you can earn. They've doubled the spend target. They've moved it from 3% in the past to 6% of the annual salary or wage bill. And in order to actually gain these full 25 points, you have to start by submitting a WSP and ATR. So, and also your pivotal report for specific to artisans, in order to actually be able to access these points with your activities, planned activities. So remember that 85% of the spend of skills development should be focused on accredited training, category B, C, D, or E. And this includes people other than your employees as well, which is unemployed people. So 85% spent on both employed and unemployed people on accredited programs. So when we look at the learning program matrix for the BBBEE, remember that your accredited programs that count towards your BBBEE spend would be the B, C, D, and E, which is internships, learnerships or apprenticeships, work integrated learning. So your bursaries is a separate spend, and then your category F and G is where you are spending on about 15% is allowed to be claimed on your soft skills, non-credit bearing or in-house training. So your category F and G, this is what I've just said. The learning programs, the soft skills and in-house training programs have been capped at 25%. Previously, it was 15%. They've now increased the total skills development spend to 25% on these programs. And then also, remember that travel costs, accommodation and catering for these kind of interventions remains capped at 15%. Your bursaries, the travel, accommodation or catering, there's no cap on that. So if you're sponsoring a bursary to a student, there's no cap on the spend, and you can claim the full spend on your BBBEE skills development scorecard. Also, the salaries or the wages, the stipends that you are paying to your learners on learnerships, employed and unemployed, can actually be claimed under the skills development expenditure for your BBBEE. So it's extremely important that you complete your WSP and you complete your ATR correctly and submit it before the deadline, because the benefits to your organization is just immense. It improves your BE scorecard, it grows your people, it affords the organization to pay less tax, it builds your talent pipeline. And this is such a spin-off for organizations. Learning organizations and organizations that are future ready actually are very focused on talent pipelines in order to minimize business disruption. And finally, also, we invest back into the economy of South Africa, right? We afford youngsters hope. We give them hope by affording them opportunity to access the work places in South Africa. So, ladies and gentlemen, how can we as Ubuhle assist you with your skills development implementation? I'd like to share this with you. So from our side, I would like to just end off by talking about people with disabilities. It is what we've seen. We've assisted organizations across South Africa with recruitment of people living with disabilities, placing them on learnerships, hosting them off-site in our partner host workplaces that we've created, where they are exposed to real work, real-time experience that they gain there. And also, we've seen how that has impacted their lives. So I would like to share just a little clip to showcase what we do for people living with disabilities. We live in a country where there's a huge need for development and uplifting and empowering. And the service that we offer speaks to that.
Companies looking to host people with disabilities or employment with assist for their BE's score. We offer service where we host them on offsite. The disabled not only get theoretical training, they also get fully work-based experience and exposure as well into the model that they're competing for the large program.
We have seen the benefits of BEE in companies. We have seen how it has actually paid off, how the landscape has changed, and also how it's opened up opportunities for a lot of people that under normal circumstances would have been overlooked.
To everyone that I've worked with during this 12-month course, to Ubuhle, thank you so much for tolerating my big personality, and also thank you so much for the support they provided, and also for this amazing opportunity.
Ladies and gents, placing people with disability is a huge benefit to your company as well. There's the BBBEE score, but you also give back to communities and people in South Africa. So our skills development services that we provide, and this is why it's not just another workplace skills ATR webinar. We talk out of experience. We've been doing this for the past 20 years. I saw that I looked quite younger where I spoke in that other video. I've aged quite a lot because I run a business. But the services that we bring to our clients, we consult with them on skills audits, and we show them the way. We complete WSPs on their behalf and also ATRs. We submit. We've got a fully fledged team that focuses only on the STF services that we offer. We apply on their behalf for their CETA grants. We assist them and consult with them to implement their WSP initiatives, and we ensure that their tax incentives are utilized within their organizations within their financial years. So this is just something that Ubuhle gives back to their clients, but it's a fully fledged service that we give. So in conclusion to this webinar, I just want to invite you to ask any questions. And even if you think about a question after this webinar, please don't hesitate to drop me an email. Jessica or Carol can just pass on my email in the comments box, and I will gladly assist you in answering your questions. And if I can't answer it, I'll get my managers to assist me with that. But ladies and gents, any questions from the floor? Let's open that up.